No matter who you are, how old you are, or where you come from, whether you're engaging with your toddler, your teenager, your spouse, your sibling, your neighbor, your client, your customer, or a total stranger, one thing we all share is the desire to be heard, to be understood, to know that our voices matter and that someone is listening. The problem is that listening is one of the communication skills that is really easy to take for granted. And it's just assumed, well, because I can hear somebody, I'm really listening. And that's not the case. And that's why I thought this would be the perfect time to help you become a better listener. I'm Nikki Elledge Brown, the communication stylist, and in this video, I'm going to give you 7 simple tips to become a better listener. First, I've got to say that the baseline understanding that we're going with here is that if you care enough to become a better listener, it's because you care about the people you're engaging with. At the foundation, all that listening is creating meaning from noise and sound, and that's really what communication is all about, is just sharing meaning with each other. So by caring enough to become a better listener, that's the first step. It really starts with your heart and not your ears, as cheesy as that sounds. It's true. Okay, so tip number 1, it's going to sound really obvious, but it's really necessary. Stop talking. Like, you actually have to stop talking. If you want to hear and really understand what someone's saying, you've got to zip it, lock it, and put it in your pocket, as we tell our toddlers. Trust me, I like to talk. Ask my husband, who's known me over 16 years. But the truth is, God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So it's important when you want to connect with someone to stop talking and give them a chance, okay? Tip number 2 is to minimize noise and distractions. So we communication nerds see noise in 2 ways, internal and external. External is a lot easier to control. So depending on who you're listening to and how you're listening to them, that may mean put the phone away, put it on silent, go into a quiet room, turn the TV off, shut the laptop, close all the other tabs in your browser window. Whatever it is, get rid of the external stuff, because no matter what, you're still going to have a lot of internal stuff. Like, even right now as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, ooh man, if the sun shines really bright, it makes the video look really weird. Or I'm kind of hungry. Or what's the diffuser doing? What are we doing after lunch? How long is this video going to take? No matter what, we have our own thoughts. It's internal noise, and we've got to try to minimize that if we really want to pay attention to what this other person is saying. Number 3, listen to learn. So listen with an open mind and expect to learn something new. And when you do that, you're going to be paying closer attention. Just like when your teacher says, there's going to be a quiz on this. This is going to be on the exam. Then you know, whoop, okay, I'm going to attune to that information. I'm going to pay more attention, maybe even take notes. You could totally take notes when someone's talking, depending on, where you are, and if you have a pen and paper, you can actually take notes because you will want to remember it. That means you're really listening and capturing that information. Number 4, make it obvious you're listening with eye contact, with leaning in and actually paying attention, mirroring their gestures, nodding. If it's just on the phone, you can be like, right, This is, of course, just live. If you're listening to a webinar, you don't need to be nodding and ing. But it's basically a good way to cheer the other person on and let her know, like, yeah, I'm listening to you. I'm tracking. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Making her feel like she's the only person in the room, because who doesn't want to feel that way? That's what we're looking for. That's the goal. Number 5, this one's really hard, but don't interrupt. Don't plan what you're going to say while the other person is talking, because you're not really listening. If you're just thinking about what's my reply going to be, what's my response, then you're not really being present and listening. And I know it's hard, but sometimes I literally, when I'm really paying attention and trying to do this, I'm literally just repeating what she's saying in my head, so that I can literally, there's no room for other stuff. I have to literally just keep replaying it in my mind, because trust me, when she's done talking, your brain is quick enough that you will have a response. It's not like you're just going to be like, I don't know what to say. Just be present in that moment. Number 6 is check for understanding, because we can all make assumptions, but you know what they say about assumptions. They're not good. Basically, you want to make sure that you ask questions if you don't understand, or even if you think you understand, repeat back, as they say in the Navy, and paraphrase what you heard to make sure that you're understanding correctly. This is huge, especially with customer feedback, Just this week, I talked to a couple of my Course About Copy students because I'm creating a new bonus, and I want to make sure it's actually what they need. So I had to make sure it is what they need, and I'm checking for understanding that way and really listening. And this is a side benefit. When you're listening to someone and they know that they're heard, then they feel more invested and involved because they know that their feedback was taken into account. So that's a little bit of a side note. And the last thing is to listen between the lines, just like you would read between the lines. Sometimes there's a silence, and that silence communicates something. There's a famous quote in this field of study, you cannot not communicate. You're always communicating something. Nonverbal communication is huge. How someone is saying something, what their gestures are saying, and even if their voice doesn't match up with the nonverbal, pay attention to that because that communicates something too. The main idea here, and I'll go back and let's review them all, okay? So number 1, stop talking. Number 2, minimize distractions. Number 3, listen to learn. Number 4, make it obvious that you're listening. Number 5, don't interrupt or plan what you're going to say. Number 6, check for understanding. Number 7, listen between the lines and pay attention to those nonverbal things. Here's the thing, and this is one reason why I was so in love with studying communication, because this applies to everybody, okay? If you actually make an effort to become a better listener, your family will be better for it. Your business will certainly be better for it. Your community and the whole freaking world will be better for it. This is one simple thing that we can do. It's totally free, and everyone wins when we make an effort to validate what the people across from us are actually saying. So in the comments below at NikkiElledgeBrown.com, I would love to know, what's your favorite tip? How do you feel when you know that someone's actually listening to what you have to say and trying to make an effort to make sure they understand what you're saying? Leave that in the comments. If this was helpful for you, of course, please share it, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Thanks so much for spending some of your time with me today, and I'll see you next time.